Well, welcome back to our 24-hour coverage of Relay for Life. With me, I have my co-host, but more importantly than being a co-host, she is a cancer survivor. Please join me in welcoming Joey Goinen. Hi, Pumpkin.
Hi, how are you?
I am well, and I have to first say, I am so honored, first off, to be co-hosting this with you for the second year, but even more so having you sit next to me and let's talk about your journey with cancer, because I think there are many people who don't know how incredible you are. So let's let them get to know you. First off, how old were you when you first became aware of cancer?
Well, when I was younger, sorry about that. When I was younger, my grandfather was diagnosed with cancer and passed away, and that was when I was still alive, but I was young. I was very young at this point. I was about 2 years old, and that's when I first got introduced to cancer. And then maybe a year later, when I was 3, I got diagnosed with Wilms tumor, which is a cancer in my kidneys. And I went through chemotherapy for about a year, and I had radiation for a couple months too. And I wouldn't say that was the hardest part, was me going through the cancer, but seeing my family go through it with me. Like, even being so young and like seeing the effects today that it has on like people around me and my family has done so much more damage than it could ever do to me.
The fear and the angst, and
for sure.
I mean, when I look at the people walking behind us as we wave to them and blow kisses to them because they're so amazing.
Yeah.
What always gets me the most is when I see little ones that are walking that have been diagnosed with cancer and are now technically survivors. Mm-hmm. And I think about you. I think about you at 3 years old and what you must have gone through. What do you remember, Joey?
That's really hard because I remember bits and pieces, but it's only so much. I think it's bad. It's kind of sad because I don't remember a lot of the good times as much as I remember the bad times. And when I look back, I try to remember the times I've got to spend with my family, but all I can remember, like I was telling you earlier about the time that the doctor accidentally poked me and my blood vessel popped, and like just those small incidents, and just like how the bad things remind me, but not so much the good things.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you had chemo, and then you had radiation, which even the thought of radiation on that perfect baby skin of yours is really hard to hear. And then how many years did you go with checkups to make sure you were okay?
Well, this year I've had 3 checkups, so I'm still going up every year, and I have blood work done and then just regular nephrology checkups. It's line of work. It's definitely a to-do list. Once you get one checked off, you go, okay, for the 6 months I got one checked off. How about the next 6 months? And then it's kind of like a to-do list so much now. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about your team Joey. So how many people are on your team?
There is, I want to say there's about 10 people. There's not a lot because it's more about the effort and the community than the numbers.
That's right. That's right. So, and every year I get to see your team, and your team is fierce.
Oh, yes.
Just like you. So what's your goal this year in terms of money you want to raise?
Our goal this year is around $6,000.
Okay, and where are you now?
We are at $3,000, but we still have our golf tournaments.
Yes.
And our garage sale, and those are our big sellers.
I love that. Mm-hmm. My goodness. Okay, let's talk about the medals on your neck. And why don't you move your hands and turn to the camera. What do these medals stand for?
These medals stand for, a lot of people say it stands for how many years I've gone to Relay, but I think they have a symbolization of hope and a cure, and that every year I'm here, I'm showing one more person that I'm here, and I'm here today, and I fought my cancer, and I survived it, just like you can do if you're going through cancer, or your family member can do. I feel like it's so much more than just a medal that hangs around your neck and clinks around the track. It is truly a symbolism of hope and constant tenacity.
Absolutely. You have 14 of those, correct?
Yes, I do.
Well, where do they stay when you're not wearing them?
They go in my hope chest, and my hope chest is a chest full of all of my past memories and all of my dreams and goals and my stuffed animals from when I was 3 years old and all the cute little knickknacks.
Yeah. For people who are listening at home and are looking at you and just cannot believe that you are a survivor. How old are you, Joey?
I am 16 years old.
16, and you are a sophomore?
I am a sophomore.
A sophomore at what high school?
I go to Stadium High School.
Yay, go Stadium.
Yes, right, go Tigers.
Absolutely. So you're a sophomore, and then, so you're going to be a junior here in no time, and then after you graduate, what happens?
Then I'm going to college.
What are you going to do?
I want to go to Pepperdine.
You will go to Pepperdine. I know you will. And
Yes.
what do you think you'd like to study?
I have no idea. I know I want to minor in international studies.
Yes.
And I don't know. I'm so into people and finding about our community. And I know I want to relate my life back to Relay for Life when I'm older, but I have no idea how that's going to go. So one day I really want to co-host this event.
You will.
Yes. Yes.
You absolutely will. I want to say thank you to you so much. You know, I love you to the moon and back, your whole family. And I know that you have a lot of people out there who are anxious to talk with you. So I'm going to set you free, young one, just for just a few minutes. Go out there, find your people, and let me know when you're ready, okay?
Will do.
All right.
Thank
All right.
you.
That wraps up a quick coverage right now of my interviews. We're going to go to the track, and I'll see you back here in just a few minutes. Well, welcome back to TV Tacoma's 24-hour coverage of the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. With me, I have a very familiar face, and a face that I have grown to love and to look forward to seeing as much as I loved and looked forward to seeing his mother. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mark Flynn.
Thank you, Amanda.
How are you, my dear?
Super awesome.
Hanging in there, aren't you?
I am.
This is, we're just going to get right to it. This is bittersweet. The sweet part is that everybody in this stadium and beyond, if you can look at a globe and imagine a ripple effect, that is the love that is outpouring for your mother, Pat Flynn, right now. A year ago, you and I were sitting here, and she was in the hospital, and we had every guest turn to that camera and say, "Hi, Pat Flynn, we miss you. Eat a lot of Jell-O. Come visit us soon." And she passed on, but she's still with us.
She is here today.
Yeah, she is, and we're here to honor her today. You have continued her legacy. When did you start traveling with your mom?
About 5 years ago when she went on dialysis.
Yeah.
And it allowed her to go to these events around the country and share the story and grow Relay for Life.
And boy, did she ever.
Oh boy, I tell you. And it was amazing to travel with her and meet a lot of the people that showed up here today from around the country are now friends of mine that I met in the last 5 years, and their family. It's just been an amazing ride.
Absolutely.
And I think we're just getting started.
I definitely think so. So this past year, what has it been like for you?
It's a roller coaster. You know, living in Tacoma with being the son of Pat Flynn, everyone knew Pat, even outside of Relay. So everywhere you go, hugs and condolences. Every time I see you, we bawl.
We cry.
But it's been amazing. And then to put it all into Relay perspective and grow this Relay, and everyone wants to do that in honor of Pat and for the cause.
Absolutely, yeah. Your mother, I don't know if there was anybody who could ever say no to Pat Flynn.
No.
She was one of the most genuine, authentic, warmest souls I think I have ever met. And that's high, because I come from the South, and we invent warmth back there. But your mom, the minute she sat down and would start talking about how one day she wanted, as Sandy Snyder said, put the American Cancer Society out of business. And when she looked at me and said, "And they call me the mother of Relay," I about fell out of my seat, because here is this petite, silver-haired woman with dimples that go on forever. And she is so powerful and yet so humble.
Yep,
she never
very
ever
humble.
knew how great she was, did she?
At some of the events we went to, I remember she pulled me aside and she said, "I don't understand what the big deal is." She didn't realize what a rock star she really was. She was an inspiration to so many people. There are people in this building that are this stadium that are only here, that only did this because they met Pat on the road.
That's right.
It's pretty neat. It's really a neat thing.
It is. How has Team Flynn handled Pat taking her place in heaven and also fundraising without her?
Honest answer?
Yes.
We've been busy as a committee, and I haven't had the time. We have a great team. We're doing well. We are a top-ish fundraiser. We're having an auction behind us. One of Pat's biggest worries a week before she died was, what are you going to do with all my stuff, Mark? She had buckets and tubs of Relay for Life clothing, and it bothered her. So Shelley Sprosky and Anna Wales came over, and they cataloged every single item. And with every single item, she had a story. She said, I got that sweatshirt from Steve and Dallas in 2004. So it's all on sale behind us here. They're doing an auction. It's online. It's called Wrapped in a Hug, and that'll go towards our fundraising. It's pretty neat.
I need to get online.
Yeah, that's pretty neat.
Because what a greater honor than to be here next year wearing something that was in Pat Flynn's collection.
And there are trinkets and sweatshirts, and I got the white bathrobe so I can be Hugh Hefner.
Well, this is very nice. Your mother would want you to have a white.
Absolutely, yes.
A white. I think you should dye it purple, though, don't you think?
Yeah.
At least,
exactly.
Yes. So, are you continuing to travel as much as your mother did?
No. No, my focus is Tacoma.
Okay.
I've spoken at a couple places. Fort Walton Beach, Florida, honored Pat. They called it Family Wrapped in a Hug, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. It was very tearful. But my focus is Tacoma.
Absolutely, yeah. Are people still surprised when you tell them that Relay for Life was founded here in Tacoma?
Yes, we need to let people know more about the story, because a lot of people know about it or that cancer walk, and sometimes I tell people and they're like, what? I didn't know that. So we want to get the word out there and grow our little homegrown relay.
Absolutely.
We're very competitive, and so we want to be the leader.
Yeah, we do. We want to be first.
We do.
We want to be the first ones.
It's amazing because it doesn't matter who raises the most, because if you win, we win. We all win.
Yes.
But we like bragging rights, and so.
Well, absolutely,
Yes.
and it should be, because after all, you are Pat Flynn's son.
Well, gosh, thank you.
No pressure here, Mark. None whatsoever. So, for people who are new to Relay and are thinking, it's kind of a cold night and it's going to rain, and I don't really feel like coming down there, and I'm sure I can just watch TV Tacoma the whole time. What would you say to them that would get them down here, especially to watch the Luminaria?
Well, it is a very moving event, the Luminaria. At 10 o'clock, we dim the lights and we light all these Luminaria with a candle, and we play a bagpiper walks the track and plays Amazing Grace, and we're honoring those that have survived and those that have not survived cancer, and it is a very, very moving. I guarantee you, if you come down to see that, you will come back. I promise you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it is moving.
It is. How do you sleep when you're here?
Well, this will be my 24th Relay for Life, and I have slept here every year. And although I wanted to bring an RV this year, I will be in a tent. You put earplugs in and you put a stocking cap on and you rest for 4 hours and then back at it.
And it's
once a year. When we do 24 hours because cancer never sleeps. So in honor of those that are going through their battle or have had a battle, we're going to walk for 24 hours. So it's one day of my life I can stay up.
What a beautiful way to think about that. When do you start planning for next year?
We will wrap up with all the participants in June and say, way to go, because this has been a great year. And we'll take the summer off, and we're going to hit it real hard in September with kind of a business plan on how to grow. And then we start meeting, and it's fun. We have a great committee, and I'm going to do this until it's not fun. And I think everyone on the committee feels the same way. As long as we're having fun and raising money and looking for a cure, I'm in, and I think they're all in.
You are truly your mother's son.
Don't.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Anytime.
Here and on Sitting Line, you are as warm and loving and as accessible as your mother was.
Well, thank you.
So I know you need to get back out on that track. So I'm going to toss it to my girl on the track, Miss Joey Goinanen. Joey, who do you have for us?
With me, I have Mike. And Mike, how are you?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back to TV Tacoma's coverage of the American Cancer Society. And with me, speaking of the American Cancer Society, I have a gentleman, of course, who is our CEO of the American Cancer Society, Gary Reedy. Gary, welcome to the tent.
Thank you.
Great to have you here. We've been chatting. You and I both have deep roots in the South.
Right.
And we're talking about just some of that Southern hospitality. And let's make it even more global, because the American Cancer Society is known throughout the world for meeting people where they are when they are diagnosed with this disease, and immediately giving them the title of survivor and embracing them with some of the most amazing services that you have ever seen, and then taking it one step further, taking care of those caregivers, and then if that wasn't enough, taking care of the caregivers that take care of the caregivers. I mean, the love is endless when it comes to the American Cancer Society. How long have you been the CEO?
Just celebrated 4 years.
Oh my goodness, congratulations.
Thank you.
What brought you to the American Cancer Society?
You know, I started volunteering for the society in 2000, and I've always had this desire to have an impact in cancer, because when I was a very young boy, when first learned about cancer, it really frightened me.
Yes.
And at that time, it was a death sentence. And I thought, if there's anything I could ever do to have an impact and to help people with this disease and help fight this disease, I wanted to do it. So I spent most of my career all of my career in the pharmaceutical and biotech industry, and actually with companies that were in the oncology space, and became a volunteer at the society. I fell in love with the mission and with the people, the staff and the volunteers. And when my predecessor announced his retirement, I thought, you know, if there was anything that I would ever do other than what I'm doing right now, it would be this. And I was fortunate enough to get the position.
That is an amazing story. I mean, that to me, when I hear you talk about that, my thought bubble says, be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Because here's you in pharmaceutical and oncology, which is such a vital part of fighting this disease, and as we say, putting the American Cancer Society out of business.
Right.
But it's quite another big leap to become a CEO of a major movement internationally. What's the biggest challenge been?
You know, I'm very passionate about fighting the disease, and I'm also very impatient. So coming from the business world, I like to move at a very fast pace. So, you know, coming to the nonprofit world is a little bit slower pace. So my challenge has been trying to get all of us to think about moving quicker, having greater impact, because, you know, the way I look at it, every day there's 1,600 people in the United States, just in the U.S., losing their life to this disease, and thousands more outside the U.S. And so it's what can we do? How can we move faster? How can we be quicker? How can we have greater impact? And just trying to get us all to think that way.
How many relays in your time with the American Cancer Society as a volunteer, but also as the CEO, I'm going to use a word from our hometown, do you reckon you've been at?
Oh boy, do I reckon I've been at? I wouldn't even want to take a guess. I mean, I was involved in relay as a volunteer in my own towns, but since I've been CEO, I go. This is relay season, so I try to visit. I can't visit all of them, obviously, but I try to visit the ones that are really important. And not only here, I've been to the relay down in Puerto Rico.
Wow.
But I really wanted to be at this one this year, because this is where it all started.
It is. I am sure you had a chance to meet Pat Flynn.
I did.
Boy, talk about a gift. What's your best memory of Pat Flynn?
Her smile.
Yes, I was just telling Mark that before we got on the air. those beautiful dimples
Yes.
that she had,
Yes.
and that smile that would just light up a room.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I tell you, she was, from the first time I met her until the last time I saw her, I mean, her smile was just contagious, infectious, and plus, I mean, she was a great person. She was a great storyteller. I mean, she had such a zest for life and a real desire to have an impact on this disease.
Absolutely. You see a lot of people who are fighting this disease, and a lot of families that are rallying around those who are still suffering from this. For those that are listening and are having a bad day, Gary, and are maybe feeling like, I can't do this anymore. What do you want to say to them?
I just want to say, one thing that the society has been doing for 106 years is giving people hope. And people need to understand that when they're fighting this disease, they're not fighting by themselves. That there are people in this fight with them. First of all, the American Cancer Society is, but their friends, their family, their communities. So, the most important thing is just to know that they're not by themselves. Even if they're having a bad day, there's so many people they can reach out to, and they can always reach out to us. I mean, we have a toll-free number that's available 24/7, 365, and a lot of times people call us up just to talk because they're scared, they're lonely. They just need someone they want to talk to, and maybe it's not their spouse or their partner or their neighbor or their friend. But the interesting thing about this disease is cancer is a very frightening word when you hear it, and everybody has a mental image of what it means to them. But it's also a word that unites us, and it unites families, it unites communities, it unites nations. And I think Relay is a prime example of that. And that's what Relay is about. It's about communities coming together to say we're going to fight, we're going to take a stand, and we're going to honor survivors, and we're going to remember those who have lost their battle with this disease, but we're going to keep on fighting so that one of these days the American Cancer Society will be out of business.
That's right. But then the sad thing will be I won't get to see you. So.
Oh no, you know what? I tell people, if we're out of business, then there's a lot of other things that we can devote our energies and resources to.
I want to say thank you so much. You are such a delight. I feel like I'm back home on my grandma's porch talking with my neighbors. So thank you for all of the beautiful work and effort and energy that you put into leading the American Cancer Society. And I know there are lots of people who want to talk with you on that track. So I'm going to let you go out there and use your gift of gab. And thank you so much for spending time with us.
Absolutely, and thank you.
My pleasure. Miss JoJo, do you have somebody out there that we need to get to know on that track? Well, welcome back to TV Tacoma's ongoing coverage of the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. With me, I have, I would tell you that she is an angel, but her occupation is she is an oncology nurse at Multicare Regional Cancer Center at Tacoma General. Please join me in welcoming Ms. Kathy Hayes. How are you, my dear?
Thank you. I'm great. I'm having a wonderful relay this year. It's very exciting. We just had the Survivor Lab, and that is one of the most important things to me. I get to see my patients out there. I get to cheer them on. I get to see their families, and it's just a really wonderful event.
I know you are the first oncology nurse that I have interviewed in the 7 years that I've been covering Relay, and because it just rung a bell with me when you said you saw your patients out there, and that's a phrase I hardly ever hear. So let's take a little walk back in time. Have you always been an oncology nurse?
No, I started my career in an ICU setting, and I did that for about 5 years. After that, I did home infusion, and I cared for many cancer patients. I saw them in their homes. It was more supportive care. And then about 12 years ago, I became an oncology nurse in an outpatient setting.
How did that change your view of your patients and also just the cancer as a disease, moving into oncology?
Well, you just see how it touches so many people. It really doesn't have any boundaries or barriers. Every walk of life, every class of life, every race, every religion, and every age, in fact, is affected by it. So there were so many people out there, and then their families and their extended families that all are going through that diagnosis together.
How has cancer affected you personally in your life?
Well, my father had lymphoma, and he passed away about 8 years ago from the disease. He battled it, and he actually had some pretty good years, about 6 years, living with his disease. So when he was diagnosed, they told him he might only live about 2 years.
My goodness. Wow. So that was a success.
That was a success.
Absolutely. Were you his caregiver?
At part of the time, my mother and him lived across the street from us, so it was very convenient that way. I was there giving advice, going to some appointments with him, to the doctor appointments. It takes a team sometimes to hear what the doctors are saying and what you need to pay attention to, and really get everything down.
Yeah, I was telling you before we came on camera that my experience with cancer was that I got to be that person that sits in the room and listens and writes things down, because the person that had cancer in my family, we could not hear what the diagnosis was. So it was important for us to have a caregiver. Right. What do you see with your patients when they're newly diagnosed and they are still in the hospital?
Well, at Multicare, our cancer center is an outpatient setting, so we actually get patients, most of the time they're not inpatient in the hospital, but a new patient coming to us, we try to get them in a class, new patient orientation, and we go through many of the things that they're going to face, possible chemotherapy or radiation therapy, the number of tests that they're going to have, the doctor's appointments, so that they can have, an idea of what they're going to face. Because fear of the unknown is the worst.
It is.
If you have an idea of what it's going to be like, then you can figure out a plan.
Absolutely. How many years have you been relaying?
Well, actually, I wrote down 10 years, and I've probably been relaying. Somebody said, I think you said that last year. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yes, it does.
Probably about 12 or 15 years.
Okay.
It's a great event.
It is a great event. And what is your team's goal this year?
Well, in my heart, our goal would be to find a cure for cancer and make our space a place where you come and you celebrate and you have joy. We have art therapy, things like that, where people aren't sitting in a chair getting chemotherapy and facing this disease that might take their lives. If we could find a way to get each and every patient through that, to live with cancer. Maybe it's something they have for the rest of their life, but they're living. And we have come a long way. I mean, there are patients out there who have had a diagnosis of cancer for well over 10 years, and they're doing great.
And they're outliving what they were told, like your father.
Right, and some of these people are in ongoing treatment, but they're still living their lives. So hopefully, it'll be a chronic illness rather than a fatal illness.
Absolutely. What advice do you have for those caregivers out there that have just heard those words, your mother has cancer or your father has cancer?
Well, you take a deep breath, find your spiritual space, and then go with them to their appointments. Go prepared to take notes and ask questions for them and figure out a plan. And invite all of the rest of your family, friends, neighbors, church. There's most of us have a network out there, and that network would love to help you. People ask, what can I do for you? I'm sorry for this diagnosis. Tell them, it would be nice if you mowed my lawn, because I'm not going to be able to, or come over and just sit with me.
Yes.
Just come over, sit with me, have a cup of coffee.
Simple.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Simple things.
The American Cancer Society has, in my opinion, been exceptional in opening up the concept of caring for the caregiver. Because
absolutely.
when you have one person that is, or maybe a couple, that are the embrace and the barrier and the nucleus of that person, that survivor who's fighting cancer, there needs to be somebody that comes alongside of them and lifts them up.
Absolutely.
Do you see that being played out in your practice?
Well, yeah, we do actually. We try to support those caregivers that are coming and being there with their loved one and coming to chemotherapy and letting them know that it's okay to cry. You can lean on us, you know, and there are resources out there, especially through the American Cancer Society, that will help you in this journey, that will help you manage this. And there's, you know, if you can't take a time off work to give your loved one a ride to cancer or to chemotherapy, we can find them a ride.
Absolutely. Do you have days, Kathy, when you go home and cry?
Absolutely. If you talk to my husband, he's a
Where
saint.
is he?
He's a saint. He's manning the tent over there, and
There
he's
we go.
taking care of most of the raffle tickets. There have been many, many times where I cried myself to sleep over a particular patient that I loved and cared for. And, you know, but then I get up the next day and think I'm going to go back and I'm going to do it again and I'm going to make a difference in somebody else's life.
That's what makes you exceptional at what you do, because I can see it as you tear up here that this is not a formulaic job that you walk into with a clipboard and just check off all the things that have to be done.
Right.
This is a ministry for you. You care
is.
about these people, and obviously you cry for those that we have lost, and yet you were here also celebrating
I was.
those patients as you
that
walked around
I
the
did.
track.
When they did their survivor lap, I always try to get really close to the front and I cheer them all on. I tell them, great job, awesome, you're awesome, you did it, you're great. And then I run across the field to get to the other side and cheer them on some more.
You are amazing. I want to say thank you so much for running across that field, because you showed up here out of breath. But even moreover, for the beautiful tapestry that you live.
Thank you.
For being that nurse that I got to cry on when my family member went through cancer and we lost that person. And that nurse that rubbed my back
right.
and said, are you okay to drive home right now? And if you're not, we'll get you home. So there are many
and
like you.
And it is a team. It is a team. I'm not alone. There are countless people out there doing this good work. And at Tacoma General Cancer Center, we have an amazing team. And I work with amazing nurses
Yes, you do.
And doctors.
So we want to say mwah
Thank
to
you.
all of them.
Thank you.
And especially thank you to you.
Well, thank you to all of them.
That's
like
right.
I said, I'm just one of many, and I'm really glad that I'm privileged to do this work.
I am too. All right, go out there and hug some more people.
Yes, I will.
And thank you so much for being here
Thank
today.
you for letting me speak today.
My pleasure.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure.
All right.
We're going to throw it back out to the track here, and I think that either Joey's got somebody out there, or we're going to bring you some more terrific scenes of our Relay for Life teams. We'll be right back. Welcome back to TV Tacoma's coverage of Relay for Life. With me, I have Mr. Mark Schuler. How are you?
Great, how are you?
I am quite well. It's getting a little chilly here, isn't
That
it?
wind is a little nasty.
It's starting to kick up.
At least the rain we had this morning is gone for our
yes.
relayers, so that's
You
good.
know what? And I look at this weather and I think, you know what? People who are surviving cancer have battled bigger storms than this that's coming
yeah.
in. Let's talk
This is
about,
another-
you work for the City of Tacoma Environmental Services. What's your position there?
I'm a senior source control rep.
And tell me, what does that mean?
So basically, our job is to protect the city's sewer and storm system. So we do business inspections, spill response. We manage the industrial wastewater permits for the city.
Thank
so
you.
a little bit of everything.
You keep us clean.
We try and keep the water
We
clean.
Thank
That's
you
our
for
goal.
that. Absolutely.
So, you betcha.
So, how many years have you been relaying?
9 years.
9 years.
9 years.
What got you started relaying here?
My dad had esophageal cancer,
Oh my.
so he was third generation to get it, first to survive it, and then unfortunately we lost him a couple years later to pneumonia. But it just kind of shows you the work here. It's working. You know, we're getting more and more survivors, but we still need more.
Yeah, we do. I mean,
that's why we're here.
As we've said, we want to put the American Cancer Society out of business.
Exactly.
That's
fine by me.
why we relay.
Exactly.
So let's talk about this awesome team that you have.
We have an amazing team. They've been doing it before I started with the city. I've been in the city, you know, almost 16 years. We have many cancer survivors on our team who are city employees, retirees still on our team. That are survivors, and we do an annual golf tournament.
Wow.
And so we're doing our 15th annual at Allamore on August 23rd, and that helps bring in about $20,000 for ACS.
My goodness, that's impressive.
So we've come a long way.
You have. And how many people are on your team?
We have about 25.
That's impressive.
So
And
trying to grow it.
So more are welcome.
More welcome.
So you've got a tent somewhere out there behind us.
We're the green tent.
You're the green tent.
The Tagro tent.
I love that. Oh, I love it. Well, I can say I do love Tagro. No one likes how it smells, but we love the results.
It does. It works nicely.
It absolutely does. So what fundraising events besides the golf tournament does your team promote?
So we also sometimes we'll do a bowling tournament. That's always fun because that involves the whole family.
I love bowling.
We just did a wine night, pasta dinner at Vino Aquino.
Nice.
Tony Anderson and him and his wife donated the dinner, and they made it for us, and so we just sold tickets and sold a bunch of wine, and everyone had a blast and raised another $2,500. So
can there be anybody more amazing than Tony Anderson?
He knows everybody.
No, you cannot say no to Tony Anderson, just like you can never say no to Pat Flynn.
Yes.
Exactly. What does it mean to you to relay knowing that your father survived, and yet in your life you probably have lost friends to this disease?
Friends, relatives. I have an aunt who's been battling cancer for 9 years, off and on, and so it's dear to my heart that we need to beat this, because we are still losing people to this, and it's not fair.
Yeah, no, it's not fair, and I love that you said that. That's probably one of the most tenderest things I've heard someone say, is that it's not fair.
It's not fair.
Cancer doesn't seem to discriminate, does it?
No.
Because if it did, then maybe we could say, go over there. This person, maybe, if you could say
exactly.
that, might be a better candidate than a 3-year-old like Joey Goinanen, who, is my co-host out here in the field, or your father, who fought so hard and beat the disease, but so many times something secondary takes us down with it, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. What was it like for you to be a caregiver for your father?
It was. It was. I mean, you do anything for your family.
Yeah.
So, and Mom did a lot, and sometimes during his treatment he'd get weaker, and she'd need help, getting him in and out of the car, and so it was nothing to take off work and get him to his appointments, because family always comes first.
That's right.
So
how are you taking care of you and the rest of your family, since this kind of cancer seems to run in your family?
I've had my throat scoped already. I had low iron count a few years ago, and so luckily it was just needing more iron in my diet, but I did take an iron transfusion, which when I was in there getting that with cancer patients, and just see what they go through, and the nurses there that care for them, and the caringness, and how it affects them, and how they manage to stay up and upbeat for their patients, that they see all the time, and so it brought it into another light for me, and I think it just made me want to do this even more.
Oh, you said that so beautifully, because like when we just had Kathy Hayes, she was warming the director's chair before you came into the tent, and she is an oncologist nurse, and I don't know where she gets the stamina and the love and the overflow day after day when some people they don't win.
Yeah.
We lose them to cancer. But as she said, she sees so many of her patients here on the track.
Yeah.
And she's cheering them on.
Yeah.
Do you have a luminaria for your dad here tonight?
Yeah, it's out here. So
I love that.
Yeah, and then I always wear his first medal when I walk.
I love that. That's impressive.
So
for people who are at home and feeling kind of low and kind of sad because they have just lost somebody to cancer, and maybe not feeling like getting out of bed these days, what would you say to them?
Fight on for your family member or your friends. Do this in the remembrance of them. Make it so people don't have to suffer the way they suffered, and just let that come out here with people who are going through what you've gone through, and there's people you can lean on and to come out. My favorite part is always a survivor lap.
Mine too.
I tear up during that, but I mean, it is the best to see that it's helping. What we're doing out here is helping, and everyone can help. And everyone knows someone who's been affected by cancer.
Boy, isn't that true.
And it's as simple as, find friends, make a team. I mean, I just posted on Facebook 3 days ago on relatives and friends, and I made $800
Wow.
in 3 days, just because people are willing to support, and they want to see an end to this too. So
Absolutely.
yes.
One of the things I think that when we talk about raising money for cancer and for cancer research, I believe, Mark, that unless you have been a caregiver of somebody who is fighting cancer, you don't have any idea about how expensive cancer is.
Yeah.
I mean, even if you have the best insurance, nothing prepares you for the chemotherapy, the radiation, the exhaustion. Sometimes you can't continue in your career. And so then what happens with that income? That income doesn't come in. And so when people say, what do you need? What do you say to them?
Just there's help out there.
Yes.
There's help out there, and the people, at Relay can help you find rides to your treatment and
gas cards and
gas
grocery cards.
Grocery cards. I mean, that's where some of this money goes to.
That's right. Absolutely.
Is to help support that. So.
Thank you for sitting in this chair and being so tender and so
Thank you
awesome
for having
at the
me.
same time. My pleasure. Now, get back out there and relay.
We'll do it. I'll get some laps in.
All right. Joey, if you're out there, go ahead and introduce us to your next guest, or if you're out there finding someone great, show us some more scenes of that track. Well, welcome back to TV Tacoma's coverage of the American Cancer Society's Relay for Life. It's starting to pick up out here, and it's getting windy and kind of cold. But as we have said this whole time, cancer never stops, and we are not either. So with me again is Sandy Snyder. She is with Team Columbia Bank, and we are going to talk about this time around medical caregivers and how important they are. How important they are in the hospital, and then we're going to talk about caregivers at home because they are in many ways unsung heroes, aren't they, Sandy?
Absolutely. The things that they witness and endure right with the patients is just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I can't imagine doing that.
Yeah.
It takes a real special person to be able to do that job.
It does. So, based upon your knowledge, and you have been with the Relay for so many years, what is it, 13 you said?
20.
20. Oh my God, where did I get 13? I think the cold was affecting
It's
my
right,
brain.
yes, that and my
yeah,
hair.
20. And you have you have become just family to so many people who walk these tracks. What do they tell you about medical caregivers? What stories do you sit and hold space for?
They're the ones that hold it together when they want to crumble. They're there to support them in so many different ways, whether it's taking them to doctor's appointments or just being a listening ear for them. They just do so much to help them through the journey of their cancer treatment.
Yeah, they do. I know that you have had people in your life that have been affected by cancer.
Yes.
I have lost people in my family to cancer. And the medical path with cancer is, I have to say it, it's fraught with fear, and it is a big mystery.
It is. It really is.
Because what you start out with as your initial diagnosis is many, many times not what you end up with, is it?
No, it's not. And it's just the unknown of, obviously, most people hopefully never have to go through it more than once. Going into a treatment, a protocol, it's like they don't know what to expect. But to have that medical caregiver with them, to walk that path right along with them, what they're going through, is just huge. It can really make a huge difference in that patient's life.
It can. And to understand the landscape and the medical map of, okay, this is what you can expect from your chemotherapy. Mm-hmm. And in many ways, I know you agree with me, you are fortunate if you only get away with chemotherapy.
Absolutely.
But many times it's chemotherapy and radiation. It's
yes.
that 1-2 punch.
It is.
I had a nurse explain it to me when I was a caregiver in the most gentlest of ways, but I will never forget when she said to me, it's like we have to pour Drano down you and kill everything, the good and the bad with the cancer.
Yes.
And so then you end up being weaker than when you walked in.
Right. Yep.
And then that opens the door to many, many Pandora boxes of illnesses.
Right.
A common cold.
Yeah. The immune system is depleted, so anything that, any kind of germs whatsoever can be devastating to their, can be life-changing for them.
Absolutely. When Mark Schuler sat here and talked about how his dad beat esophageal cancer, but then a couple years later succumbed to pneumonia. So often we hear that. But we also rejoice in the fact that he didn't die of cancer, did he?
No, he didn't. No, it's a lot of times it's the side effects from the. You're right. The treatment, the poison that you take to try to get rid of the cancer, affects your health in other ways.
It does.
So,
and to me, that is where the patient navigators come in, and that's something we haven't talked about yet tonight. And I want to give a shout out to them because they are the ones that, the minute you are diagnosed, and you call that 1-800 number, they're the ones that get you the ride to chemo, the ride home, the gas card, the grocery card. They're the ones that, when you beat cancer, say now. This is where the nearest nutritionist is for you.
yes.
This is where the nearest yoga studio is, because you have to build your body back up so something like a common cold doesn't take you down.
Exactly. And they do things like, as women, we're vain, we lose our hair. It's like,
Yes.
here's where you want to go to get a wig. And without them doing the job that they do, the navigators are just such a huge part of a patient and their road that they're about to travel.
They are. I know the American Cancer Society has a program, one of my favorite programs, and that is the Look Good, Feel Better program.
I think it's awesome.
It is, and so for our audience at home, we want them to know that it's open to men, women, teens, anybody who's been diagnosed with cancer.
Exactly.
And then you get to be in this either classroom setting or they'll come to your house, and then they supply you with things that help your skin, head wraps, scarves to keep you warm, if you're someone that wears makeup, they give you a kit with some of the best makeup you're ever going to have in your life.
Yes.
They help you understand how to work with hair loss. And it's just another way that we get to say, you are a survivor.
Absolutely. And that, just like Fernando used to say, it's better to look good than to feel good, right? We wanted to both look good and feel good at the same time.
Absolutely, we do, yes. All right, I want to say a huge thank you to you. You came on Cityline about 2 weeks ago and talked about your Gordy Cloud Award and all the work that you have done with Columbia Bank all these years. And then, of course, you graced our American Cancer Society TV Tacoma tent with your presence twice now in the past 3 hours. I can't say thank you enough. I love you from head to toe.
I love you too. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you for letting me sit in a chair next to you again this year.
You are more than welcome, yes. Well, that wraps up our coverage of TV Tacoma's live interviews with our incredible guests that keep this relay going. We have much more to come. We have the Luminaria coming up, and then we also have the tribute to Pat Flynn. So do stay tuned for the next 24 hours. We will be here. So if you are at home and you're taking a nap, keep it tuned to Channel 12 or Channel 21 and continue to be with us for the rest of the coverage of American Cancer Society Relay for Life. Take care.